Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. Now, most of my demos, I usually feature current models that you can go into any store or retailer and pick up today. However, one of my favorite things to do for fun during like a 5-minute break in video editing or whatever is window shop online used listings. I am sure I am not alone in that. So Mercari is a relatively new online marketplace, at least in the West compared to other e-commerce platforms, but they're actually huge in their native Japan. Now they challenged me to go onto their platform and find the coolest guitar I could with a budget of $300. So, how did I fare? Let's take a closer look. So buying a guitar from Mercari, even though I didn't have a specific idea of what I was looking for, was actually super easy. A problem I run into with other more crowded e-commerce platforms is that unless I have some idea of what I'm looking for already, it can be like page 15 by the time I run into something really interesting. Now Mercari isn't limited to guitars, you can buy or sell just about anything, but my challenge was to find a cool guitar for $300. So I'm obviously a big fan of like Gibson style guitars, but for $300, unless I got incredibly lucky, no one was going to be selling a US made Gibson, except maybe a Firebird Zero. What a piece of shit. So I started by looking at a lot of Epiphones. There was this bright pink SG that did have me tempted. If I'm honest, this channel isn't built off the quality of content. Realistically, it's basically built off the back of 2 pink guitars. But upon closer inspection, it looks like it was hand painted with like wall paint. No thank you. There was a $67 Junior that might have been fun to pick up a few mods for as well, but I just missed out on it. There was another Junior for $95, and then I remembered I haven't had great experiences with the low-end Epiphones, so I moved on. There was this Lynyrd Skynyrd Farewell Les Paul that looked really cool, but was almost 3 times my budget, so that was unfortunately out. And then there was this, an 86 Epiphone Les Paul 1 for $299. I had never seen one of these before. I didn't really know what it was, but I mean, a vintage Epiphone Les Paul 20 years older than my only other Epiphone for $300? Yep. I was having that. Super easy to purchase. Mercari has PayPal integration for payments, which is very important for me. It's an extra layer of buyer protection, and that was that. Okay, so with the power of editing magic, let's see what we got. And here it is. Being that I'm a single cut guy, this was always gonna be some sort of single cut. Not gonna lie though, this guitar kind of fell into like a guitar version of the Uncanny Valley for me at first. A lot of it resembles a Les Paul, but there's just enough off that made it almost uncomfortable looking the first time I saw it. It's such a strange looking Les Paul that when I asked them, even some of the senior Epiphone guys thought that it might have been a fake. And to be fair, I don't blame them. It's a weird mix and match of parts. It's got some form of an open book headstock, but the shape is all strange. It gets narrower near the top of the head. It is an Epiphone, but instead of using the official Gibson Les Paul outline, the horn is all stubby and sticks out further from the body. It has block inlays, but they're rounded and small. And then the thing that really threw them off is the serial number, which is just 8 numbers on a sticker on the back of the headstock. All the online resources say that Samick Korean-made Epiphones should have 7, so there's no real way to properly date this thing. I don't know, clearly this is quite an obscure model, which is perfect because that's exactly what I was looking for. The best way I heard it described when I posted a picture to Instagram is that this guitar is, quote, aggressively 1986. Shout out to Scott Fairley for that one. But once you realize that despite the name, it's not actually supposed to be like a proper Les Paul, they only called it that to give it some name recognition, it starts to make a little more sense. It turns out that it's part of a series of Super Strat inspired single cuts made in Korea near the height of the hair metal era. Spec and aesthetics wise, they were basically identical apart from the pickup configuration. There was this Les Paul 1 that had a single humbucker in the bridge, the Les Paul 2 which had dual humbuckers, and finally the Les Paul 3 which had a humbucker in the bridge, then 2 singles in the neck and middle positions. Now this guitar was built before my time. So to give a bit more context as to what Gibson was doing at the time and frame why this guitar exists, I contacted someone who is far more educated in vintage Gibsons and especially Les Pauls. Here's Austin from Trogly's Guitar Show to drop some knowledge on you.
Hey guys, my name is Austin from the Trogly's Guitar Show. On my channel, I take a daily look at guitars with a focus on their history and specs. Hunter reached out to me on Instagram about this crazy little Les Paul and asked if I could help paint a quick story about what was going on at this point in time. Gibson, Epiphone's parent company, was recently under new ownership in 1985, and new management was quickly trying to make up for lost time in the hair metal super strat scene. What came about were mainly strange looking guitars that even to this day don't get much love. Part of the reason for their failure is they were just way too late to get introduced to the market. Models such as the Q Series, Black Knight, US1, U2, 90 Series, and WRC models, just to scratch the surface. The LP in today's topic would most closely resemble a lower-end import version of Gibson's Les Paul Junior Pro 1 or the Les Paul Studio Pro Lite. All 3 of these models having the weak Steinberger tremolo unit on them stock, except for a few rare stop bar varieties. The late 80s was a crazy time. Thanks for having me.
So thanks to Austin for that. He is the man on YouTube when it comes to vintage Les Pauls and Gibsons, so I'll have a link to his channel down below if you're like me and are super interested in that kind of thing. I'm always learning something new from his content, like I hope you did as well right there. Now back to this one though. Apart from the single cut silhouette, there's very little Les Paul-y about this thing. All these companies were doing weird, futuristic experiments. It's like how Coca-Cola tried to introduce New Coke at about the same time. This feels like Epiphone's attempt at a new Les Paul. So this one was built in South Korea. For specs, we've got a maple bolt-on neck with a medium C profile and a 22 fret rosewood fingerboard. The basswood body is really slim and rounded. It reminds me a lot of the Joe Satriani Ibanez models. It does have a slightly carved top, but again, it doesn't follow the traditional Les Paul carve. It originally came in a couple of different finishes, the most common, at least from what I can tell from other used listings, being cream. This one is in a less common black gloss, and it's a 1986 model, so it's got a ton of natural battle scars, which in my opinion adds to its personality. It also looks like one of the previous owners went ahead and tried to relic the back. It's kind of cool. I dig it. So not gonna lie, I kind of see now why a lot of guitarists that played these older Epiphones aren't a huge fan of the brand, even today. Compared to the modern ones, the quality isn't quite the same. I'll talk about playability in a second, but just from an aesthetic standpoint, the fingerboard inlays are very rough. There is a ton of filler around pretty much every rounded block, which doesn't look too great. Thankfully, the fingerboard is a nice dark piece of rosewood, so it's not really visible in non-direct sunlight. The headstock is a mixed bag for me. I actually really don't like the shape. It looks really awkward. I much prefer the modern one, but both the Epiphone logo and the split diamond are mother of pearl and are super colorful in the light. Moving on to playability. As Mr. Trogly alluded to, this was part of Gibson's experimentation into the world of superstrats, and this doesn't play anything like a Les Paul. For starters, it's very light, I'd say 7.5 pounds. The 22 frets are slightly larger than you'd find on your standard Epiphone. I'd place them at jumbo sized, and while a normal Epi Les Paul has a 24 3/4 inch scale length, this one has a slightly longer Fender-esque 25.5 inches to bring it more in line with Superstrat specs. Even the medium C maple neck feels more akin to a Superstrat than it does to a Les Paul. There was also a stupid amount of gloss poly on the back, which I immediately took the rough side of a Scotch-Brite to. Not only is it smoother and faster now, but it's also much less obnoxiously yellow. I'll talk more about the bridge in a second, but I was getting questions about how it feels to palm mute on. Basically, it feels like a Floyd, so no issues there. Now remember, this is a 33-year-old guitar. I cleaned the fretboard, gave it new strings, adjusted the truss rod slightly, but really it needs a professional setup. The frets actually have plenty of life left in them, but they're not level, there are a fair number of dead spots. That's partially why the intro track was so simple. One, I'm not a great guitar player, and two, this Les Paul one is not particularly easy to play right now. But there is a lot of potential, especially with the relatively long scale length. Moving on to hardware, the tuners are not great. I'll probably replace them real quick if I end up keeping the Les Paul one. They're really loose and jumpy. Epiphones come a long way. After I'd put some graphite into the nut slots, it's better, but still not great. Far more interesting is the Steinberger tremolo bridge. Now, I'm not huge into tremolos to begin with, which is partially why I never got into Superstrats, but I love unusual. And it is definitely unusual to see this bridge on any guitar, even though it is flawed as f***. Again, my dude Trogly has a great video on it, but basically the metal studs just aren't that strong, and even under normal string tension can often end up bending out of shape, causing the bridge to pull forward permanently. And since these are proprietary parts of an obscure bridge, it's just a hassle to fix. Luckily, mine seems pretty okay for now. I'm currently rocking this thing in drop D with my preferred Cleartone 9-42, so hopefully a drop tuning with super light strings should be enough to prolong the life on this guy until I get around to a permanent fix. I asked the Epiphone guys, and we're gonna see what we can do. No idea what this is supposed to do either. So I jumped on this Les Paul one because I'd never seen one before, and the price was so good. But if I'd read the listing properly, I would have read that it's missing a couple of parts. I don't have the locking nut, the bridge tuners, or the tremolo bar. That's fine, I'm not too worried about that since I plan on just locking the trem down anyways. Just, you know, a reminder to actually check the listing if you're buying used online. On the plus side, it probably helps me get a way better price on this unusual thing. Now, originally these Les Paul ones came stock with Epiphone Samick Vantage humbuckers with black plastic covers. They kind of looked like EMGs. No idea what they sounded like, never played through one. At some point in this guitar's life though, a previous owner replaced it with a Seymour Duncan Invader. That's actually why the pickup ring has extra holes in it. The original humbucker was secured by a single screw on one side and then double screws on the other, for whatever reason. And I mean this in a good way, the Invader is one of the most obnoxious looking humbuckers I've ever seen with giant oversized pole pieces. Now feel free to skip this part if you're not interested in my thoughts on it, because if you're buying one of these used, it's probably not gonna come with an Invader. But if you are interested, here's what it sounds like going through all my amps clean and dirty. Spec-wise, it's insane. It's got overwound coils, 3 large ceramic magnets, and of course, the oversized metal oxide pole pieces. The output is rated at 16.6K, which is hot as f***. I got some super thick rhythm tones. Wouldn't necessarily recommend it for cleans though. So it's not in the best condition, it's missing a couple of parts. The pickup ring is backwards, but this is just a very wacky, cool guitar. $300 for an uncommon vintage mod platform? I have no regrets. Thanks again to Mercari for sponsoring this video. You can check out the listings for cool gems like this Les Paul 1. There are a lot of listings similar to this, like crazy, strange, vintage 80s experimental instruments for not a lot of money. Great for unique mod platforms. If you're concerned about selling a guitar because you don't know how or don't want to deal with properly packing it, honestly, that was why for a long time I never sold guitars. They offer a pack and ship service. Just take it down to any UPS store, UPS will pack and ship it for you. That easy. This was a really interesting video to make. I generally don't get to play guitars that were made before I was born. So if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Should I mod this thing or not? I still haven't decided yet. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Thanks to Pad for mixing everything. Social media, Discord, and merch links are down below. As always, thanks so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I'll see you for the next video.